Thank you again, and welcome onto Raw Thoughts Podcast. So today I have Matthew and Matt. They're not brothers, but they are working together. So Matthew, I really want you to introduce yourself, kind of your background, and then we'll go to Matt and kind of do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matthew McKee, I'm working under the team of Boise Turnkey along with Matt, and then we have a team within a team. We call ourselves the Turnkey Brothers because we provide you a turnkey solution. Shameless plug there.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So where I'm coming from is I've been in the military for the last 12 years now, going on 13. I'm currently in the Guard. I was working full-time, actively pursuing a deployment. That was my dream deployment most recently. And that got turned off overnight. And I kind of had to look in the mirror and reflect on myself and decide who I wanted to give my time to. So that's, just snapshot of what got me here. And I want to give my time to myself and my family in the future. And then I have some philanthropy thoughts for later in the future, but that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. And Matt.
Yes.
What's your background?
Well, first off, thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
This is an awesome experience.
Yes,
You've been a great host. And my background, military, again, 12 years as well. This is all coincidence. I love it. 12 years in the Guard. My dream job growing up as a kid, from elementary school, middle school, high school, I always wanted to be a pilot. Mm-hmm. That was my thing. I loved being in the air. I loved flying. It was like my passion. And I pursued that, and I pursued it with the military. I wanted to give back. I wanted to give back to my country, and I wanted to do, the right thing. And I could do both in that sector. So I went and did that, and I became a pilot, and, I'm climbing this mountain and, reaching all my goals and climbing, that career ladder. And I finally made it, and I looked around and I said, I want more for myself. And it felt weird. It was my 30th birthday, and I was like, where am I going? Where am I going from here? It was an awesome moment. And at that same moment, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it recalibrated my brain. It was amazing. So ever since I've educated myself, I've done my best to educate others who are in the same field. We're both in the military, and finances isn't something that was normally talked about. So
right.
That's why we're really happy to be here today and to, talk about that message.
Yeah. And with your background, both, did you guys meet each other in the military? Did you guys know each other? And then you also are on the same journey into real estate, or how did that play out?
Yeah. So Matt is Army. I'm Air Force. Our units commingle a bit, not nearly as much as we would like professionally or obviously personally.
You just want to be around him all the time.
Oh, yeah, we do. Is it that obvious? No, but our paths actually crossed in real estate school where we recognized each other. We saw each other at the base gym and whatnot. And I knew he was a military member, but when I saw him in real estate school, we kind of did one of those, like the Spider-Man thing. And I sat in the front of the class. He was a little bit too cool for that, so he was second row. And he was so charismatic, and he was so outgoing, and he was talking to people that I realized, this is some guy that I need to draw from, because I'm going from the military, in my career field. It's you put your head down, you do the work, you do the thing, and you don't necessarily want to be the highlight. But going into a people business, I had to adapt to that situation. So he was somebody I wanted to adapt from and learn from. So I just got up and was like, dude, is that seat taken? And he's like, nah. And then from then on, it was like everybody thought we were brothers.
Oh, yeah.
It was like there was synergy, and it was, written in the stars. And I'm going to stop talking.
And now you guys are wearing matching pants, and it's all coming together.
It's all good.
Yeah, I used to dress in gym clothes all the time, and then I saw him. I was like, why does he look so much better than me?
But it's that capturing of hey, I want to be like him. Mm-hmm. Let me put myself around him, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They sit back and they're like, I want that. but they're not taking the steps to actually do that thing or learn how they got in that aspect. So I really give you like kudos to be like, hey, I want to be like that person. I'm not going to be afraid to go and say hi to him. I want to be engulfed with him. And that's how I learn. And that's how my real estate business has 1,000% gone. And
that's fantastic.
It's great. Like I wish more people did that. Really.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yep.
So, Matt, from military to real estate, like, how did you make that jump? How did you know that this, and to both of you guys, how did you know that real estate was the jump that you wanted to make? I mean, there's so many other careers. There's so many other things that you could be making money off of. Why real estate?
There are so many. So when we first met, just to backtrack a little bit, I'd been in real estate for about 2 years investing.
Okay.
I wasn't a realtor. I didn't do any of that. I was a bigger pockets guru, like Brandon Turner's my idol, like all this stuff, and just trying to learn as much as I can. And then it finally came down to taking some action. And real estate was my portal to do that because for me, it was the easiest business that you could start. I've started a couple other businesses and they've not done so well, but real estate was the easiest to get started. All it required was hard work. It required hard work, talking to the right people, getting yourself out there like you talked about, and it was something that I could relate to. So I got to work, and I've met a lot of great people, and that's actually how we met Corby, our team leader at Boise Turnkey. He was my first investing realtor, and it just opened my world up to the world of real estate, the power that it holds.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's great for people. I mean, the first-time home buyers that want to get into a place, but then the investors that are like, hey, this is my 5th place. And it's like, holy cow, like, gosh, I wish I knew about real estate when I was much younger to be able to be a foot, ahead of others.
Yeah. I want to point on something on that. For those that are listening, real estate is one of the biggest investments you'll ever make, but you'll not realize.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of your listeners right now can relate like, oh, I own a house that's appreciated so much. Yeah. I didn't realize that if I just multiplied this, that I could become super successful. I can free up time for my family, and I can raise my retirement and live a better life.
And it's a different way to make your money work for you than your traditional hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was raised on more hours, hard work, more hours meant more money. But when you scale that and you say, hey, let's make the money work for us, and that's less like, let's leverage that, then you are living the life you want, right? That you're doing the things that you want to do with, and you have a family, right?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm married, I have a wife, we have a kid on the way. So
gotcha.
So those are real big drivers. That's part of our why is buying our time back.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely. So being in the military, getting into real estate, what has been the easiest thing like with that transition?
Separating ourselves from our peers. I mean, I would say all day, just other people in the real estate school, just having that drive and that motivation and the determination is probably both our greatest asset and the greatest hurdle that we had to overcome because military is very structured.
Yeah.
And we're going into being our own boss and getting the structure our own day. But fortunately, we turned that hurdle into more motivation and asset for us to exploit, where we get to choose our day now, and we're very motivated to, how many times can I use that word in a row? Where we've been structured, but now we get to structure it ourselves. So it's empowering.
Yeah.
So we got to,
Yeah. And figuring out for myself was tough. Being my own boss, that was tough. Mm-hmm. I was used to, this is the mission, this is what you had to do, here's your step-by-step, and if you didn't know what you're doing, you could, you find someone who could do it for you where now everything's on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you can still find those people that, know your qualities and say, hey, this is my strength, this is what I'm really good at. But you have Matthew to do something else of that aspect, and that's his strength where it may be your weakness, and that's where you build that team up around you guys to get the mission, accomplished of getting houses.
For sure. There's this book called Who Not How, and I'm a big fan of it because it talks about finding the who's in your life. Because everybody has their passion, and I truly believe that you should exploit your passion and live it to the fullest. And for those things that you can't do, find those who's in your life that are passionate about doing the things that you can't.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that Matthew and I really click on is that, I've been investing for a while and I'm really good at that, but he really brings the energy, the hype, and then with both of us together, it makes the sum of our parts are bigger than us individually.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people, and I speak on being a first responder and, your guys' military background is like, we don't want to ask for help. We want to just do it ourselves. We just want to, get it done. It's my way, or, like nobody else has a greater idea than me or a way to do it. But it's like, no, you have to ask for help.
You do.
And it's okay to ask for help in any realm of life because you get so much more done. Like, we are not meant to be just single humans going through this world. Like we are meant to be engulfed with people around
We're
us.
social creatures. I don't care what sector you're in, what business you're in, who you work for. You're in a people business first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about investing. Like what's the dynamic in your structure of your guys' day and what does that look like?
Yeah. So actually Matt had a great line while we were driving here. He said, we're not realtors, we're entrepreneurs. And that's exactly true. Like, I don't consider myself a realtor. I mean, I am legally, but ultimately it's just to fund my investments. And I want to be surrounded by other investors that think the same way I do. And, less a realtor, more a legal tax evader, because I want to use all my pre-tax dollars to go take clients out to dinner or to buy them drinks or to go to a conference in Greece that I'm going to go to.
Nice. Yeah, because all we want to do is add value.
Right.
Like that's our biggest goal. We want to add value to other people's lives. We want to raise them up. A rising tide raises all ships, and we're huge believers in that. And if what we do every day can help reach out to a few others and help them just see the light or whatever, then that's what we're about. And we really try to do that as often as we can.
Yeah. And another good point to what really brought us into the investment sphere coming from the military background is the VA loan. Because it's probably the most powerful financial tool known to man. And coming from military, it's all about the 20-year pension. That's what it's driven into us. Hey, just do 20 years, stick it out. Try to keep your body in one piece long enough to retire, and then you can go be a civilian. There is no reason first of all, I'm going to talk to my vets out there.
Yes.
If you have a VA loan and you're paying rent, stop it. Stop it.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness,
tell us why. Let's speak on why.
Yeah, so the VA loan, 0% down for any home occupied house that you find. Not only is it 0% down for a home, but you can get up to 4 units. So you can find a duplex, you can find a triplex, you can find a quad. And if you live in one of those units, it's called house hacking. You can rent out the other 3, and that pays for your mortgage and then some. So not only are you living for free, but you're earning passive income on top of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that those options are available to them.
Right. And having 0% down, that's taking no money out of your pocket, and it's giving you a passive income, meaning it's either at least breaking even, paying for your mortgage, which you'd be paying rent anyways. But also it's probably giving you a few extra dollars on the back end to pay bills. And then it's you're appreciating your asset. And like I said, legal tax evasion, you get the homeowners exemption in Idaho, which is $125,000, or did it just bump up?
It probably did with inflation.
Yeah. Anyways, so
The last I knew it was 125.
Yeah.
Yeah. Regardless.
Anyways.
Yeah. 125,000 in your pocket. Not necessarily, but that you can't be taxed on.
That you can't be taxed on. So, I mean, with these veterans, do you think, what do you think their hurdle is and why they don't actually use this loan? Like, are they telling you guys in the military about these loans? Like, about the VA loan? Like, where's that disconnect, I guess, of why more veterans are not using this VA loan?
I would say a lot of it stems to the educational system in general. When you were going through middle school, high school, finances weren't really talked about.
No, they were
and
never.
As soon as you get a high school, a lot of these military members that go into the Air Force, Army, Navy, what have you, they're just continuing school all over again, and finance isn't talked about. And it's all about doing the job. And that's what you get focused on. You get very career orientated, and you're not looking out for yourself first. And we've definitely found with a lot of things that are going on in this world, nothing is secure, nothing is safe, and you need to look out for yourself first. So we see that a lot in the military side, is that it's not that they don't care to research for themselves, it's that we're not surrounded by anybody who invests. We're not surrounded by people who are thinking outside the box. And we're trying to reach out to those people who don't have that mentorship to teach them about, like you said, if you've got a VA loan, you need to be using it.
Yeah.
100%, because we've seen inflation just go straight through the roof. And those people out there that have homes and are living in this market, they see it firsthand. That appreciation is huge. I don't care if you're in Florida or Maine or Arizona, like it's one of the biggest investments that I said earlier that you can make that you don't even realize you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And on top of that, it's just not like, as a military member, you're paid BAH, which is your housing allowance. So it's not necessarily a thought like I'm paying somebody else rent. It's my job pays for rent. So it's just it goes back to the mentality of it is no one's talking about what investing in your own future, investing in yourself, and using the tools that are out that are given out to you. And yeah, I can talk about military mentality all day, but
yeah. But it's not just military too. I mean, even on the civilian side of on your side, like you can still do FHA loans, you can still do 3% conventional, you can still get that quad, if you just stay disciplined and save your money.
Thank you. He just caged my mind without knowing where I was trying to go.
I got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
You guys are brothers. Yeah.
Yeah. We think on the same.
Hey, don't make out on the set. We can't do that.
Brothers never make out on the set. That's off camera stuff. Anyways, so the aversion from buying a home for a rent is the same exact aversion from anybody right now, especially in this market, right? Interest rates are going up, but it becomes houses are 30% more expensive today than they are than they were yesterday, just because of the interest rates. But what people don't realize is interest rates are going to continue going up until they stop. Once they stop, you have a refinance option where you can refinance, get a lower rate. There's things you can do in the meantime, like the house hacking Matt mentioned, to cover that extra 30% mortgage rate. And then once you have that ability to refinance, you have the equity in the house that you can pull out. You can do the remodel you've always wanted to do,
right?
Or you could just put that equity right back into the house and you have a lower payment at a lower interest rate. So I would say the answer is the same across the board, whether you're a veteran or,
a civilian for sure. I mean, homeownership is something that is so it's made to think that it's such this hardship and that it's, this kind of old time, like, oh, when you've bought a house, you've made it, that white picket fence. And nowadays it's just, we're seeing a lot of millennials buy houses because they're being smart with their money. They're being disciplined with their money. They're getting resources that they need. And they're like, okay, how can I make this work for me? How can I make my money work for me? I'm going to buy the house. I'm going to bring my 2 girlfriends in. They're going to, pay me the rent. That's going to cover my mortgage. I'm outright. And they have equity in their house. And now they're buying a rental,
Yeah. That's huge. That's such a great way to get started. You are literally owning your own business at that point.
Yeah.
You buy a home, you get your girlfriends in to rent, a room out, and boom, you just started your first business.
Yeah.
So I said it's the easiest business to start. It takes some work, you got some awkward moments.
Oh, for
some
sure.
hard times. Yeah. But you're putting yourself out there, and that's what life's all about. Fail early, fail often, and fail forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of people out there that don't even realize they could afford a home, even if that's another reason why we kind of target somebody with a VA loan access to it, because if you have a VA loan, you can afford a home.
Right.
Like, period. There's a very small Venn diagram of people with the VA loan and people who can't afford a home, like that sliver in between, that's very small. And we're partnered with some very clever lenders that can make just about anybody or any home affordable to somebody. And there's always options out there like the house hacking or clever lending.
Yeah. And homes, retrospectively, they're not that expensive because of, the interest rates. We just came out of like 3% interest rate.
We came from the lowest we've ever seen them.
And
And
it's
just because they're increasing, yeah, that's scary, but we're still not at what we saw, years ago.
Right.
It's retrospective of yes, they're higher than what they were yesterday, but they're still not as bad as what we've seen.
Yeah.
And it's people's mindsets that to get them out of that and to get them out of that spiral of like, oh man, is really difficult.
And the thing about that is we're still beating inflation. So if you think 5% on an interest rate is bad, well, imagine if you have $100,000 in cash right now that you don't want to spend because you're waiting for the market to equalize, which I have thoughts on that. You're wasting 13% because of inflation. So
because you didn't invest and you're holding it in the bank.
Yeah.
So you're still beating inflation by over half if you invest that money into real estate.
Yeah.
Or in anything, but I'm not very.
Yeah. And you look at the other sectors right now, like, the stock market isn't doing the best. Bonds are negative right now because of
Inflation.
the inflation, right? So I can't think of a better place to put your money than real estate. I've looked, but that's the best I can find right now.
Yeah. So what got me into real estate, I never actually answered this question. I started off in stocks and made a good amount. In a few months, I tripled my income by what I was doing there. And then I got into crypto and blew it out of the water. With both of those markets, I'm just not comfortable with them. I'm not confident in them as I was last year. And they are very volatile. So you can make a lot of money, but that's a lot of work. You have to
It's
really
a
pay
lot of
attention to it.
education and you have you have to pay attention to it so much.
You do.
And
it is not passive.
No.
Exactly. Not
No,
passive.
I don't have the time frame for that.
Nope.
So real estate can be passive, but also we're helping people. I mean, I got a couple of gals that didn't think that they were going to be able to afford a home. I got them both. One of them I got under contract, her second contract written, and this other gal wrote a contract for her. We ended up getting beat out, but she's very confident now because we were the second. It was head and head, know, and she just decided like, that's too much risk for me. I don't want to do it. But now she's going into the next one. Like, we're absolutely going to
very confident,
Right.
Very confident. And seeing somebody who's not, they have that mindset, like, I can't afford a home right now, getting them to a lender, having them actually see like, oh, this is how much you're willing to lend me. And then getting them, at least to the game. And showing them like, yeah, we can get an offer accepted or at least an offer considered.
Right.
I think that's very empowering for, somebody of that mindset of I can't.
Right.
It's not I can't. It's who do I need to find? Who do I need to talk to in order to do this?
Right. And I think it really speaks volumes on your guys' military. And I think it also comes from my first responder aspect of like taking something and like, let's evaluate it. Like, let's figure out how, like, kind of the tabletop exercises of like, okay, if this piece moves here, then we got to do this and then this. And it's like, you really kind of play that out in your head for these home buyers and teach them along of like why we did these things and not just say, hey, you have to do them. So once you guys, help these people, you guys also do short-term and long-term.
We do.
Tell us about that a little bit.
I will. I want to touch on that because that's so important. Education mitigates risk. So in any aspect that you do, and the example you gave was a perfect example because she didn't quite know what she was getting into. But it wasn't until we spoke with her, we talked to her, we coached her through it. You showed her the numbers and you guys made a reasonable offer that she was comfortable with. And that education aspect that you're talking about, she went through this, she saw how it works. Now she's confident enough that she can go into her next purchase investment and make a really strong, solid decision that she is comfortable with and she feels empowered about.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing is you can tell somebody all day long, like, do this, do that, and they're not going to believe it. It's not until they do it themselves that, they really feel like, proud of what they did. So, yeah.
I just had to touch on that experience. I just had homeowners, they were almost 50. They were buying their first house. And we went through the final walkthrough and he's like, okay, what else do we have to do? And I'm like, you guys signed yesterday. We're at our final walkthrough. Like tomorrow I call you and I say, we funded or recorded and I give you the key. And he's like, it was that simple. And he almost starts crying, just runs after me and gives me the biggest hug. And he was like, I didn't even know it was that simple. And he's like, thank you for showing me, because I mean, it was a lot of work of, educating them and more time. But it's like, not everybody does this every single day. We get to now, like we get to educate them. And even investors, sometimes they don't know which way they should go or what the market's doing. Like, that's where we come in and we educate them, not tell them what to do.
Yeah, 100%. And that leads into, you asked about long-term, short-term. At Boise Turnkey, we offer Turnkey is in the name. We have a turnkey product. So for all those new investors coming in, we can offer 100% of the knowledge base. We can coach you along, and we have the resources to do so, because that just makes a more educated client that is very solid on the decisions that they want to make. So when you're going to buy your first home, you don't know what you're getting into until you have someone like yourself that can really coach them along and educate them, and they see the power behind it. Now, investors, they may need certain type of lending. Maybe it's creative lending. Maybe they want to get a long-term rentals, short-term rentals. There's wholesalers out there. There's commercial real estate. There's land. There's so many options, so many opportunities. Our product, we really focus on those return investors and those beginning investors, because honestly, the most simplest thing you can do is just go out and buy a house, right. And invest in that side. So we do long-term and short-term. In the Boise market, with everybody working from home now.
Yeah.
The Boise market has just gone through the roof.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorite places in the country to be. I love it. And it's a great opportunity for people to come here who are just moving here. They need a place to rent. We're providing that for them, and I feel great about it.
Yeah.
And some of those people even become our future clients because they're renting with us, and now they want to buy a place of their own.
And they see your name. They see how you communicate with them. They see all of those things, and you're the first person they think of oh, I have a real estate question. Who can I call? Oh, my landlord is a real estate agent,
Yeah. And it's the perfect avenue for us to just approach these people, because they see the whole process, and to watch them grow and evolve and achieve their goals it's an awesome thing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of education, big brain Matt over here invented a calculator off of Excel that, don't even try to, he's going to try to play this down. It is incredible. I'm going to let you speak to it because I can use it, but not
You're like, I know it's there, but I don't know how it works.
Yeah, but anytime I have I'm like, hey, I have an investor that's coming in. You want to help me run some numbers? He's always the one that's no problem. And he's just so quick with it.
Yeah. So as investors come in, they get into the long-term rental side. We also have the short-term side, and we like to just show them hey, these are other potential things that you can think about here in Boise. And the reason why I started short-term rentals is because I invested in myself. I had no idea what I was doing. But the high appreciation market that we have here in Boise is very expensive to get into. So I thought, well, how can I earn more cash flow so I can repeat the process? So I just tried it. I bought a single family home and put it up on Airbnb. I'm obviously giving you the short story of it.
Yeah.
But ever since I found the power in short-term rental, I ran with it. So what we do is when investors come in, especially if they're coming from out of state, we'll put them up in one of our Airbnbs. We'll show them the product, how that works, and if they decide that that's something that they want to do, they want to own an Airbnb. It's a proud feeling, pulling up your phone and seeing your own Airbnb. Oh, that's so cool. So I built a calculator to determine if it's the right investment for them. And Boise market is very finicky, meaning it's not the best short-term rental market, but downtown Boise is very good for it. We have a lot of things to offer here. We've got Tamarack, Brundage, Bogus. It's a ski resort town. You drive 40 minutes away from here and you're in the mountains. You're away from nobody.
We have so much diversity, and I think people, I've grown up in Idaho, and I've also traveled a lot. And so people don't understand what we have because they don't like to go explore these other things. I'm like, you don't understand the diversity of, we can be in the mountains in 40 minutes. We can be at a lake in 40 minutes. We can be at Bogus in 40 minutes. Nowhere, we're like a small Denver. We're getting that. And we've heard that so many times. Yep. And I actually just recently had some investors in from Denver, and they're like, wow, you guys are like us, 15, 20 years ago. And I'm like, absolutely. That's what happened. life evolves.
It does. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Life evolves. And I think people get so hung up on like the change and don't adapt to it and then just get angry.
Yep.
Heck, I was surfing yesterday for like an hour. It was cold, but hey.
This is the only place where I've skied and wakeboarded in the same day.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
So with that in mind, short-term rental has become a big thing here, and I wanted to capture that.
Yeah.
Because the market is still, it's not saturated with Airbnbs yet. So we wanted to capture that, and I wanted to give a good product to my clients because I love it, and I know they will too. So we go through all the numbers, we go through all of their expenses and what they could expect, and I can manipulate it to meet their goals. And we sit down together and we talk about like how involved they want to be, because some people like they want to see some of the guest reviews. They want to see like the money coming in. They want to see like the state of that their house is in. So we walk through the whole process with them. We set up the place. We get it furnished. We've got a professional interior designer that designs them, furnishes them, and it's just a very proud moment that they're like, wow, I own that now. Just like your clients when you gave them the keys, like here you go, you know. Same thing when the clients come in 4 to 8 weeks later, they've got this like brand new Airbnb and they love it. And you can stay in it if you want to.
Absolutely.
So if you're from out of state, you can come and book your own place for a week or two and just enjoy it.
Absolutely.
We're actually just building a video on that of how much, what kind of investment you'd have to make in order to live 7 weeks out of it for free, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Turnkey Brothers, you'll see some information on that.
I will say your guys' social media videos crack me up.
That's good.
just the bloopers.
We're really putting ourselves out there.
It is. I mean, sometimes like it's crazy the way that social media can work, because honestly, my dumbest videos get the most traction. And I'm like, that's what you guys want? Like, I didn't even talk about real estate, didn't talk about my podcast. I talked about nothing. And like, that's what I'm getting attraction out of? Like, wait, what? And I'm like, okay, I just got to do more stupid shit.
That's why we're doing so well, because all of our videos are the dumbest videos.
Yeah. But people eat it up. Like,
they do.
They really do.
And if they can learn something at the same time, I think it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
So, I mean, short term, long term, like, what would you really want to teach people? Like in this short amount of time on this podcast, like what do you want to teach somebody getting into this?
Reach out, ask the question. It's that easy, because at the end of the day, we're not making any money by answering questions, but we want to have the conversation because we want to educate. Like, I mean, our videos, our educational videos, they don't really make us any money, and we haven't seen any business from it, and that's okay, because we just want people to ask the question. If you have a realtor that you like, that's your friend or your family, like ask them the question, how can I afford a house? We just want, especially in the Boise market, there's so many people that are very disgruntled. You know, you always hear about so-and-so moving in or cash offers or what. You can beat cash offers with conventional. You can do it. You just got to be creative.
You just got to reach out.
Yep. Ask the question.
It's a people business.
It's a people business.
Everything is. Everything is.
It's a people business. And I will say, I mean, I've helped, people in my family, but sometimes your family's not the best, honestly, like, or your friends, or you want to get a deal from them or whatever. Like, they're not the ones that, have their real estate license and do 3 deals a year, knowing what this market is doing. I mean, I do every single week. I pull numbers from the MLS looking at new, how many new homes hit the market, how many were back on market, how many price changes, like where were the price changes, how much were the price changes, like all of that data, being able to do it day in and day out and knowing and being able to like enlighten our clients on that is a step forward for sure.
And that's the exact point that I'm making about just reaching out and asking, because you're going to find, if somebody can't answer that question for you, you're going to go somewhere else. And I'm confident that the business that we have, we mostly deal with investors. They're buying $1 million properties every other month. We have the business. I just want to help local community, or I want to help answer people's questions. If I don't get your business from answering a question, fine. If you have somebody that you'd rather work with, go work with them. That's fine. I'm just here to answer the question.
Oh yeah, we've got Airbnb clients. I do for the short-term rental side, that after coaching them through, they want to do it themselves. And that's fine. Like, I don't make any money from it, but I help them out. And now they feel empowered to do it themselves. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I brought my parents in the other day, and I was talking to them about investing. They've never invested in their entire life.
Yeah.
And we just had like a crash course for one day, and now they think they're the smartest investors on the planet. They're going to make so much cash flow. They're going to own assets. Like, it's a thrilling time for them. So when you reach out to somebody, like reach out, talk to them, find a smarter group than you, and it's going to pay dividends. It really is.
Right.
I contribute my success today to the people that I've talked to.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with business or real estate. It's just reaching out and being around the right people and just networking.
Right. And I think there's, an aspect within real estate, and I just want to talk on this of like that realtors hate each other, like, no, you guys are the best. Like other realtors are the best people because that's who I get to learn from also. Like, I know that Matthew went to Michael Porsche's, event on last Friday, working with first responders, working with veterans on being able to teach them on, being able to actually use your VA loan, getting into a home. There's a lot of us that are real estate agents in there. Like we don't hate each other. Like we want to be able to work with each other and be like, hey, I have this house. Do you have a client for it? I don't have a client, but it's going to come vice versa. Like we're helping each other out at the end of the day. That's also helping our clients out in the end of the day.
Yeah, and the Michael Porsche thing, that's the event, a perfect example of being in a room where you're the dumbest dude, because that was absolutely me. Those guys are incredible. I can't wait to get to the next event.
Yeah, and Michael Porsche was on this podcast, so definitely, I think he's episode 4, so definitely go back, and I'm going to have to figure that one out exactly, but he's a phenomenal person that,
really
very, very similar to your guys' story, like, realize that there's more.
Yep.
There's more.
Right.
Yes.
And with speaking on that, like you talked about, being a pilot, you were at that in career.
Yeah.
And like, you were like, there's more. Like, I got to chase it. Like, I got to go after it.
Yeah, I think that everybody has their own passion in life. And I thought flying was mine. I mean, it still is. But once I got there, I was like, I'll relate this back to retiring. People think when they turn 60, they magically retire and they just sit on the couch and do nothing. That's not the case. Like, there's things you want to go out there and do. And after I became a pilot and achieved all my goals, I still wanted more for myself. And it wasn't until I found the people in real estate and working with others that I was like, wow, this is really something that I can get behind, because I am improving my life. I'm improving the life of people around me. I'm making a better life for my family. I'm trying to leave a legacy behind and just generally improve people around me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, the more and more people that I also bring on this podcast, but talk, everybody just wants to help people in some aspect. It's like our own human design of like, what are we good at and how can we help them? Like with our life experience, with our, interests and hobbies, like what makes us humans, how can I help somebody else?
Yeah. I would say for a lot of listeners though, that might sound a little scary. Like, how do I leave the safety and security of my routine every day? I don't want to reach out and talk to people that I don't know.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like it's a awkward situation. It's a really hard thing to do.
Yeah. I'll touch on that just from my personal experience, right? I left my full-time employment in the military last December, and I used an asset that I already had being my house. I'm house hacking right now. I'm renting out 2 of my rooms, and I'm financially independent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both jumped out of the military and immediately became financially independent by the assets that we had that we used the VA loan to get. And now I'm, being in that mindset of sink or swim. Like, I know that I'm my own boss. I have to be motivated. But the money's going to come. If your mindset is like helping people and like just putting yourself out there, the money's going to come. I'm already have my pipeline full enough where I'm going to make more than last year's income or my salary last year in Q1.
Right.
So having that, I understand that fear of I'm going to go do the thing. What if like I'm leaving the security?
If I fail? Yeah.
But again, just by using an asset I already had, I extended out my runway, so I could sink.
Right.
I could
The
spend a
quicker
few
you
months.
fail, the quicker you will succeed.
Exactly.
Right. And those failures you have to look back on. And I think everybody, a lot of people like want things to be 100% nothing honestly is 100%. Nothing is honestly 100%. So if you can fail and you can learn from that failure, you're far more ahead of other people. And
that's the thing. Like, that's actually why I left. I had this 100% thing. I had this idea, this deployment that I was working on. The way that we deploy is we have to be attached to a unit. That's getting deployed because I don't deploy with my unit. We're all very specialized and we just get attached. I've been working on getting selected on this unit for a year and a half. So I'm trying to be the best I can be and being selected over other individuals and have this opportunity for a year and a half. It was a sure thing. We were going, I'd be leaving in a couple weeks. And just like that, they told us no more special forces in the Middle East. And that was from the highest level of government that just turned it off. And there was nothing I could do, nothing that all of that hard work meant to anybody. It was 100% guaranteed solution, and my orders were turned off that day. And this was actually the day after I got the keys to my house. So I'm $500,000 in debt now. I had a whole plan of getting tax-free money and then coming home and getting my private pilot's license, because that's a goal of mine too. I had my whole like retirement kind of in view, and it was just like changed overnight. Yeah.
And I mean, when that truly happened, like what did you think? Like, yeah, it's an oh shit moment, but like you can either sit in that moment or you can do something about it.
Yeah. So where I love my job, I would never want to do anything else in the DoD other than my job. And sitting at that, I looked at all the hard work. There's the level that I'm at, I could go and assess for the next thing, but I would have to go active duty to do that. And I kind of just looked in the mirror and I realized I don't ever want to be in a position where somebody can fire me, essentially, or they can cut my funding or whatever. I'm going to be my own boss. And at the end of the day, unless I'm out doing the job, I'm not doing the job. I'm just training for the job. I want to go out and do the job. I mean, I made a new client today, this morning. I can help people every single day, and I can go do the thing every single day.
And it matters.
Exactly. It matters. My day matters every single day. I never clock in and clock out and was like, well, I still got a paycheck today, but I washed a Humvee.
Yeah. And I think it's the value and the worth of us and that, our industries put on us. Like, speaking on like overnight, it was a $20,000 pay cut I got doing my same job, really realistically more of what that job was, but I had no control over that. Right. I had my input and I had my opinion while it was happening, but.
And this was EMT, right?
This was paramedic. Yeah. So, it went from, being underneath the hospital base to the county, and, all of us were like, no. And they still did it. Right. And I mean, just within there of like, who's paying you is a $20,000 pay cut. And that's, I mean, honestly, that's what made me open up of like, wow, I don't ever want this to happen again.
Right.
Like
it's a bad feeling.
It's a really bad feeling. And you don't feel valued. You don't feel worth, like even if I'm not getting paid from something, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to help somebody with that. Like, yes, absolutely. I'll get you a house cleaner. Like, this is amazing. Like just a tiny little thing, but it's on my time. It's on my schedule. Like I now really have like value in my life of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so Matt, I mean, being a pilot, you were at that point too. Like where was your first steps of like transitioning out of the military, knowing what you were gonna do?
Yeah, that's a big deal. I preluded to Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I love the book. It recalibrated my brain, and I just wanted to learn more. I was like, what is this idea of what an employee is like? And that led on to the next book, which was Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki as well, which was, okay, you've got the 4 quadrants. You've got an employee, you've got the self-employed, you've got your business owners, and you've got investors. I had no idea there was people like this out there. So my mind was just going crazy because I spent my whole life studying and learning and training to be a pilot. And I couldn't think of anything else. But until I found this, like the whole world, it seemed like it just opened up to me. Yeah. So I continued to learn. I followed Bigger Pockets. I kept reading books, and the education that I got from it was so empowering that I wanted to help others to do it. But in order for me to help others, I had to invest myself. So that's where my investment career started. I bought a single family home with the VA loan. So no money down, which is great. And then my wife and I, we renovated it, we remodeled it, and we made it into like the best Airbnb we thought we could make, which turned out to be great because after living in there for a year, we used a VA loan again to get into a duplex. And that one we house hacked, which was phenomenal because not only did we get in with no money down, but we lived on one side and the tenants were paying rent on the other side. So we have very low payments for our mortgage every month, and our new Airbnb is doing phenomenal. It just took off from there. We're like, this is great. How can we do this again? So we did the same thing for a third time. We moved out of that duplex into another duplex, which we now currently live in. We're remodeling it to the nines, and we're turning it into a really awesome like Airbnb with an entertainment center out back, and just really providing a really awesome, unique place for people to stay when they come and visit Boise and have everything that they have here to offer. So I knew I had to do that first so that I could then show people like, hey, this is the path and this is what I did. These are the mistakes I made because I made so many mistakes.
What was your biggest mistake?
Biggest mistake. Yeah. Every day, man. Oh. My biggest mistake, not getting out soon enough. I mean, I said that I started when I was 30. I should have started when I was 20. But what I will say to that is there's no point to just live in fear and amnesia. Like, just start today. I know yesterday was the best time to plant a tree, but guess what? Today's the next best day.
Right.
And just get yourself out there and do that. So I would say that would be my biggest mistake. I made a couple like little financial mistakes, but that's just the learning process, the growing process, you know? Like we preluded to earlier, you have to fail. Yeah. Because that's how you learn. Yep. And it's exciting and it's fun. And you're like, well, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So you guys both have said this, the house hacking. Mm-hmm. What is that? Like, what do you guys truly think that is?
I want to touch on that. Okay. This comes from a place of passion for me because $1 saved is $1.30 earned. And with inflation and taxes, whatever money you can save it multiplies exponentially because then you can reinvest that money. So if you house hack, you can take a mortgage, a $2,000 mortgage, and cut that $2,000 down to $1,000, $500, $100. How many people would love to live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and pay like $100 for your mortgage?
Yeah.
It's possible and it's amazing. So you're saving $1,900. Well, guess what you get to do with that $1,900? You get to go on family vacations. You get to reinvest it into the market. You get to reinvest it in real estate. And now you have the power to take control of your finances, all because you made that one decision to move into a duplex and have the renters on the other side pay for your mortgage. So,
yeah. And on that, a duplex, they're very hard to come by, and I can almost promise you that one of us are going to buy them for either